Ignition sequence start. All engines are running.
Your brain needs a lot of energy to function, a lot, despite the fact that the average adult brain is only about 2% of your total body mass. It uses a full 20% of the energy you spend while at rest. To keep all your brain functions going, neurons, the cells that make up your brain, have to constantly be at the ready, and that is no easy task. Your brain has about 86 billion neurons that are interconnected at 100 trillion to quadrillion synapses. When you're thinking, your neurons are shooting messages back and forth across your brain. The cells are firing. One study found that the firing of neurons uses about 2/3 of all your brain's energy. And now scientists have found out how brain cells recharge and fire. They found out where that energy is going. It turns out they operate much the same way your muscle cells do when you're exercising. Both neurons and muscles need glucose, a simple form of sugar, to function. In order to get more glucose, they activate a protein called GLUT4, which lives inside our cells. As you start thinking really hard, extra GLUT4 moves to the surface of the cell membranes. As I understand it, the GLUT4 is sort of like the neuron is sticking a little fishing net out into the bloodstream to grab glucose. Once the nets are out there, they just keep grabbing more fuel, allowing our brain cells to burn the midnight oil. Once it grabs onto the glucose, it can use that to send messages and keep you thinking. There's a common misconception, though, that your neurons are firing electricity from one cell to the next, and that's a bit misleading. It's not like electricity in your home. Instead, your brain's electrical signals come from charged molecules called ions. The charge propagates down the length of a nerve cell membrane, kind of like doing the wave at a hockey game. When it reaches the end of the cell, the electrical signal is converted into a chemical signal. The chemicals are collectively called neurotransmitters, which allow the cells to talk to each other. The neurotransmitters are stored in little containers across the neuron called vesicles. Neurons can have hundreds to hundreds of thousands of vesicles, all making sure the messages it wants to send can get out safely. Okay, so now that you have that, this is the cool part. Once a neuron is ready to talk to its neighbor, it's ready to fire, it releases an ion via these chemicals and throws it into the synaptic gap, the space between neurons. And then bam! The ion is grabbed by the next neuron in the chain, and the game of brain telephone continues. All of this activity is powered by a molecule called adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, which is generated by the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. And what does mitochondria burn? Glucose, baby. So GLUT4 grabs some glucose, pulls it into the cell, gives it to the mitochondria, which converts it to ATP so that we can send charged ions through neurotransmitting chemicals all the way to the next cell. Also, like muscles, if you're low on sugar, it makes it hard for your brain to work. It seems like the optimal amount of sugar for your brain is about 25 grams of glucose floating in your bloodstream. For scale, that's about as much as you'd find in a banana. So if you're ever in a fog, take a break, have a bite, and let your thinking meat recover. Have you ever noticed your brain runs differently when you haven't eaten? I've definitely noticed this. Let us know in the comments. Make sure you subscribe for more, and thanks for watching.